This is Mental Forge, where weakness burns and warriors are built. Picture this. A young courier is standing in the marble lobby of a bank at dusk, clutching a small envelope. The city is humming with the kind of electricity that makes anyone believe big things can happen. He is the last person anyone would expect to find holding a key that unlocks a life of freedom. He overhears a conversation between a client and a senior banker, not about a hot stock or a secret company, but about how one man decided to run his life like a business long before he had a business. The client says quietly, "I became rich the day I learned to pay myself first, to keep meticulous promises to myself, and to seek rooms where my courage is required." The courier's mouth dries. He is hungry, broke, and tired. But he decides right then to step out of the lobby, not as a courier, but as the owner of a life that compounds. That night he writes a letter to himself that begins, "I am the steward of something priceless, my attention, and I will invest it as the wealthy do." That is the feeling I want you to hold as we settle into this conversation, as if we are in a warm lounge far above the noise, with a city of possibility glowing outside. The promise is simple and profound. There is a formula that the most successful people in the world use to get rich. And it is not just about money. It is about a way of being that multiplies everything it touches. Follow it, and you do not merely add income, you compound influence, freedom, integrity, and joy. You become someone whose very presence causes opportunity to gravitate toward you. You will feel certainty move into your chest, fear evaporate from your breath, and clarity sharpen your decisions until every hour works for you. Consider the foundation. The wealthiest builders of history, the readers and the deal makers, the inventors and the reformers, almost all began with a handful of timeless truths that you can hold in your hands right now. From the old parables of prudent merchants who pay themselves first and make their gold work, to the teachings of those who insist that your thoughts, held with faith and action, crystallize into destiny, to the research on habits that shows how identity precedes behavior, the message is consistent. Become the kind of person who creates wealth, and wealth follows. Build a definite aim, cultivate belief to the point of knowing, stack tiny behaviors until they become a runway for bold moves, and keep company with people whose standard pulls you upward like gravity pulling a tide. That is the skeleton of the formula. Now we put flesh and breath on it. Before we plunge into tools, let me offer a picture of what changes when you adopt this. Imagine waking with a quiet power, not scrolling blindly, but opening a notebook where your purpose is written in your own handwriting. Imagine feeling a firm identity like armor, not hard or brittle, but supple and unshakable. You will be a person who decides quickly when the facts are clear and adapts gracefully when new facts arrive. Your calendar becomes a sculpture of what matters. Your money has a job. Your mind is your ally, trained to notice opportunity, dismiss trivial noise, and direct your body into consistent, courageous action. Fear is still around, but it becomes a cue to lean forward rather than a command to retreat. And when setbacks hit, you do not shatter. You bend, measure, adjust, and move. Let us anchor these ideas with vivid lives. Picture a young printer in Philadelphia who rose before the sun, set aside coins from each day's earnings, and gathered friends to talk about virtue, industry, and improvement. He drew lines down a page each week, tracking 13 virtues with the discipline of a scientist. When he faltered, he did not shame himself. He simply recommitted. He built an identity as a reliable man, then a printer, then a publisher, then a diplomat, and then a legend. He turned small daily choices into a fortune and a civic renaissance. You know his name. Benjamin Franklin's quiet rigor shows that wealth begins with self-command. His life whispers, "Run your character like a ledger, and gold will follow its balance." Now go west to oil fields and ledgers filled with ink. Picture a young accountant who reads by candlelight and learns to stay calm when markets thunder. In a panic that paralyzed others, he is careful, methodical, and patient. He writes in a notebook that economies move in cycles, but discipline can be constant. He refuses to overreach. He builds teams, trims waste, studies transportation, and negotiates better rates. He becomes almost serene under pressure, keeping his eye on efficiency and ethics as he understood them. And he keeps his promises to investors. John D. Rockefeller's gift was not only in striking oil, but in striking a tone of steadiness when fear screamed. The lesson is crystalline. Train your nervous system to stay calm. Make plans when it is quiet. Execute when it is loud. From oil to steel. A poor boy from Scotland learns to read in a one-room schoolhouse, then apprentices in a telegraph office. He hears that success is organized imagination. He meets mentors, invests in himself, steps into risk with studied daring, and later shares a framework that persuades a young writer to interview the richest and most powerful people in the world. That writer, Napoleon Hill, distills principles that echo today. Desire, clear and definite. Faith, not as blind hope, but as practiced certainty. Autosuggestion, the daily programming of your subconscious with the words you repeat and the pictures you hold. Specialized knowledge, not trivia. Imagination, harnessed to plans. Decision and persistence, stacked. The mastermind, a circle that elevates your mind beyond its solitary capacity. You can begin this morning. Sit still, breathe evenly, and speak your aim softly enough to hear yourself believe it. Walk into a laboratory that never sleeps. A man in a crumpled vest is smiling. His team has tried and failed more times than most people would attempt in a lifetime. He says they have discovered thousands of ways that do not work, and each one brings them closer to what will. Thomas Edison's gifts were persistence and a system. He built processes that made invention not a lightning strike, but a harvest. So build systems for your money habits, your learning, your deal flow, your outreach. Do not rely on willpower alone. Turn behavior into a machine that runs even on days when your energy dips. Step into a factory where a single model rolls off an assembly line with metronomic precision. The owner asks a simple question again and again. How can we make this simpler, faster, more affordable? Not by cutting corners, but by trimming the unnecessary. He pays workers more to reduce turnover, which increases quality and productivity. Henry Ford's lesson is that scale and simplicity make wealth, and generosity can be strategic as well as moral. Make your life like that line. Strip the non-essential. Focus on one thing long enough to master it before multiplying your efforts. Pay yourself with time for learning. Pay your team in appreciation as well as money. You will attract the kind of people who build enduring value. Listen to the rhythm of sewing machines and the laughter of customers who feel seen and empowered. A woman born to hard work turns a personal struggle into a product and a movement. She walks into department stores without appointments, makes cold calls until she loses count, and keeps notes of every objection until she can turn each into an advantage. She does not wait for permission. She pilots in small batches until the world notices. Sarah Blakely shows that courage plus feedback loops create empires. You can adopt her stance today. Keep a wins and lessons journal. Every rejection is a data point. Every attempt is a rep for your courage muscle. Now watch an investor in a quiet office in Omaha, reading annual reports for hours before most people begin their commute. He chooses businesses he understands, with leaders he trusts, and he avoids the lure of what is fashionable. He speaks about a circle of competence, margin of safety, and the power of patience. Warren Buffett teaches that temperament beats brilliance when money is concerned. Your edge can be as simple as reading more deeply, waiting more patiently, and moving more decisively when your criteria are met. Look at a wife of the early 20th century whose scalp infection led her to blend remedies at her kitchen table. She begins selling door to door, then trains agents, builds schools, and gives back to the community that elevated her. Madam C. J. Walker's life radiates the truth that service and wealth can grow together. She offers value first, trains others to do the same, and turns customers into partners. The takeaway is clear. Create something that genuinely improves the lives of others, and teach others to do well by doing good. You might feel the pattern already. The formula is not a trick, it is a rhythm. Identity, vision, belief, disciplined habits, value creation, strategic focus, networks of trust, patient compounding, courage in the face of fear, and generosity. And underneath it all, a quiet spiritual posture, a way of moving through the world with gratitude and faith. You can begin right here, in this very breath. Close your eyes for a few seconds and inhale slowly until your lungs feel full, then exhale even more slowly. As you breathe, imagine a steady light behind your forehead, the part of your brain that plans, focuses, makes decisions. You are bringing blood flow to the systems responsible for self-control and long-range thinking. That calm focus is the soil. Now, plant seeds. Whisper to yourself, I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. I am the kind of person who multiplies value wherever I go. Money is a servant, not a master, and it works for me because I work for meaning. Repeat these words until they feel less like hopes and more like identifications. Your subconscious does not argue. It obeys repeated, emotionally charged statements and images, especially when you are relaxed. This is not magic. Neuroscience is plain about it. Attention is a filter, and your brain's reticular activating system favors what you decide matters. When you write your goals in clear, vivid language and review them daily, you tune your attention. Patterns appear. Opportunities that were invisible become obvious. Pair that attention with action, and neuroplasticity rewires your circuits. Each honest repetition lays myelin around your neural pathways. Habits become easier. And when you anchor your practice to your values, you release a quiet motivation that lasts longer than excitement. This is why faith matters, not as a dogma, but as a stance. To move as if what you hope for is already unfolding sends a durable signal to your own nervous system. Let us make this practical. In the morning, before you touch your phone, sit up, place your feet on the floor, and take those slow breaths. Speak a short affirmation for identity, and keep it consistent. Today, I act from purpose and power. Then write 3 lines. First, your definite aim, in 1 sentence. Second, the single most courageous and valuable action you will take today in service of that aim. Third, 1 sentence of gratitude, specific and felt. This is your ignition ritual. After that, do a focused block of work on the hard, high-leverage task. If your mind resists, shrink the first step until you can do it in a few minutes. That is how identity-based habits and the 2-minute entry strategy work together. Start small, finish strong, repeat often. Now create a weekly money ritual. Choose a quiet time once a week to review your accounts, even if they are modest. Pay yourself first, a small percentage of every dollar you touch, directed to a separate account that you will not use unless it is for investing in assets or skills. Automate it, so discipline does not depend on memory. This comes straight from the old wisdom of disciplined savers and the modern research on decision fatigue. It also signals to your mind that you are an owner, not a consumer. Track your spending simply, not to punish, but to inform. Ask of each expense, does this purchase buy me time, skill, or joy that aligns with my values? Then look for tiny leaks that add up. You will be surprised at how much room appears when you measure. Create a learning portfolio. Choose one domain of wealth creation that fits your temperament and circle of competence. It could be building a service business, acquiring small companies, investing in public markets, real estate, or designing and selling products. Commit to a learning plan that includes reading primary sources, following experienced operators, and practicing with small, reversible experiments. Keep a decision journal. Each time you make an investment or business move, write your reasoning, your assumptions, and how you will know if you are wrong. Review it monthly. This builds compound wisdom. You will start to notice your biases and calibrate your judgment. Make relationships a deliberate part of the formula. Wealth is a team sport. Build your own mastermind, even if it is only 2 people at first. Meet regularly. Share your goals and your numbers. Hold each other accountable with kindness and candor. Seek mentors not by asking for mentorship, but by being useful. Offer value, summarize insights, do legwork, and ask precise questions. And be a mentor to someone behind you. Teaching clarifies your own thinking and keeps your heart open, which matters more than most people realize. Let us return to history for further guidance and courage. Think of a bookstore owner who became a global merchant by placing customers at the center of every decision and tolerating years of thin profits to build infrastructure that would later make margins bloom. He believed that when you take the long view, you earn the right to experiment. He wrote letters to shareholders emphasizing principles over hype and accepted being misunderstood to stay the course. The lesson is endurance and clarity. Create a guiding principle that you can repeat out loud and make decisions that may reduce your short-term vanity for long-term strength. Remember a civil rights leader who faced dogs and batons and kept walking with a calm that puzzled even his enemies. He did not get rich in dollars, but he understood a law of power the wealthy also honor. Moral clarity and disciplined non-reaction win over time. In your business and investing, insults will come, rumors will swirl, fear will spike. Keep walking. Hold your standard. Speak softly. Act decisively. Reputation compounds like capital. Think of a shopkeeper from Arkansas who drove his pickup to competitor stores on weekends, scribbling notes on ideas he could adopt and improve. He made associates owners in spirit and in stock. He wandered with purpose, always learning, always frugal. Sam Walton's genius was curiosity with action. You can put it to work today by examining 2 businesses each week with a detective's eye. Ask, how do they attract customers, deliver value, and retain loyalty? What can you adopt, adapt, and improve? Consider an artist entrepreneur who turned a talk show into an empire by insisting on authenticity and service. She asked better questions than anyone else, listened harder, and created a sense of family with her audience. She invested in people, in stories that uplifted, and in ventures that aligned with her values. The instruction here is subtle. Find the intersection of your gifts, your compassion, and your hunger. Build there. When your work is drenched in real care, word of mouth becomes a tidal force. Look to a titan of steel whose name is etched into libraries across the continent. After the sale of his company, he gave away much of his wealth to education and public goods, believing that stewardship is part of the game. He wrote about the duties of wealth, that riches are a trust to be administered for the good of the community. Whether you give now or later, adopt this posture early. See yourself as a conduit, not a reservoir. Money that flows through you with purpose will find its way to you with more ease. Walk for a moment with a scientist in his patent office, scrawling formulas and thought experiments during lunch breaks. He trusted thought deeply enough to change the physical understanding of reality. You do not need to bend space-time to apply his lesson. He practiced mental models, ran simulations in his mind, and valued simplicity. Your mind can run rehearsals too. At night, visualize yourself acting in the face of fear, closing the sale, negotiating fairly, investing calmly during volatility, and walking away from deals that do not fit. This mental training prepares your brain's motor and emotional circuits. When the moment arrives, your body will recognize it. Stand in a classroom in Virginia, where a young girl raises her hand to ask a teacher how to change her world. The teacher tells her to read widely, write her goals, and find people who believe and will not let her quit. She grows up to combine art and business, influence and duty. Behind every public success is a private scaffolding of belief and mentors. Build yours consciously. Write letters to yourself as the courier in the bank lobby did. Create a box of proof where you store small wins, grateful notes from clients, and screenshots of milestones. When doubt visits, look at the proof. That is not vanity. That is medicine. Now that we have breathed in the stories, let us dig into the daily formula. Start with identity. You become what you repeat, so repeat who you want to be. Every morning and evening, state your identity out loud. I am a disciplined creator of value. I am a wise investor. I am courageous and kind. I move with focus. I keep my word. Follow with a vision statement spoken in the present tense. Business revenue that creates freedom and impact. Investments that grow as I sleep. Health that vibrates with energy. Relationships that elevate. Speak, then see. Close your eyes and take 30 slow heartbeats to watch the movie of your day executed in alignment with that identity. Your nervous system will treat it as a rehearsal. Anchor this with journaling. Use 3 prompts. What is my definite purpose now, and why does it matter to my soul? Who must I be today to honor that purpose? What one bold action will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Repeat these prompts weekly in longer form. On Sundays, ask, where did I say yes when I should have said no? Where did I allow fear to write my script? Where did I embody courage and clarity? What lessons emerged, and how will I apply them this week? This creates a feedback loop that primes your brain's executive networks. Done consistently, it will feel like putting on glasses in a foggy room. Let us talk about fear. Fear is not your enemy. Unmanaged fear is. The way to kill fear is repetition and vision. Expose yourself, gently and repeatedly, to the edges of what scares you. Make a fear ladder for a single skill. If calling potential clients terrifies you, start by writing a script and reading it aloud to yourself with a smile. Next, record a voice memo as if you are calling. Next, call a friend and practice. Next, call a tiny prospect with nothing to lose. Next, call a real prospect and keep the call under 2 minutes. Each rung is manageable. Pair that with vision. See yourself calm. Hear your voice steady. Feel your hands relaxed. The brain learns safety through evidence. Give it proof in small, frequent doses. Here is a simple breathing tool when anxiety spikes before a pitch or a trade. Inhale through your nose for a slow count. Hold briefly. Then exhale through your mouth twice as long as you inhaled. As you exhale, drop your shoulders. Say silently, I am safe. On the next exhale, say, I am prepared. On the third, say, I am focused. This tells your nervous system that you are in control. You will notice your thinking clear and your voice drop into its natural register. From that state, act. Create a decision protocol. The wealthy know that uncertainty is permanent, but quality of decision can be high. Before major decisions, ask 3 questions. What problem am I truly solving? What are my base rates? The outcomes that typically happen in situations like this. What would convince me I am wrong? Write brief answers, then do a pre-mortem. Imagine the decision failed. What went wrong? List causes. Now imagine success. What made it work? Select the leading indicators you can track. Decide with a time and trigger attached. If this metric is not met by this date, I will pivot or exit. This prevents you from marrying your hypotheses. It protects your capital and your pride. When it comes to money, install certain rules that live above mood. Save a percentage of every dollar. Automate it. Invest a percentage in your skills and network. Automate it. Set a minimum threshold for purchases. If an item costs above that threshold, wait a day before buying. Consult your values and revisit. Always negotiate with warmth and firmness. Decide your walkaway point in advance. If your counterpart beats it, shake hands and leave with grace. This detachment increases your leverage and preserves your peace. Train mental discipline with deliberate attention workouts. Each day, set a timer and do a single hard task until the bell. Turn your phone off or leave it in another room. If your mind wanders, label it gently and return. This is meditation for creators and investors. It trims the habit of distraction and builds the habit of depth. Over weeks, you will feel it. Your work will thicken, your output will sharpen, and your self-respect will rise. Create a personal board of directors. Choose 3 to 5 living or historical figures whose values and strategies you admire. Each morning, pose your main challenge to them in writing and answer as they would. How would Benjamin Franklin advise you about frugality and public spirit? What would Henry Ford say about simplifying your product line? How would Madam C.J. Walker recommend you train your sales force? What would Warren Buffett suggest about staying within your circle of competence? This practice integrates diverse wisdom into your decisions and gives you distance from your own blind spots. Carry a pocket mantra for the days that drag. I do not chase, I choose. I do not rush, I move precisely. I do not hoard, I steward. I do not break. I bend and return stronger. I create value, and value returns to me multiplied. Speak it softly when you feel the tug of doubt. Now think about the spiritual dimension. You are not a machine. You are a soul moving through a human life, and the most powerful people I have studied hold a quiet reverence for something greater than themselves. Whether you call it God, the universe, or the deep wisdom within, pause each evening to give thanks, not generically, but specifically for the moments of grace in your day. Gratitude reduces scarcity thinking by reminding your brain that life is not a zero-sum game. It also opens your heart, and people feel it. This is not a small advantage. An open heart attracts collaboration and trust, which are engines of wealth. Let us set a weekly challenge structure that will make all of this stick. Choose a theme for each week. 1 week for financial clarity, 1 for skill acquisition, 1 for outreach, 1 for systems. In Financial Clarity Week, you will track every dollar, negotiate one bill, and move a percentage to your investment and learning accounts. In Skill Week, you will structure a curriculum, complete daily practice, and build a small portfolio piece. In Outreach Week, you will send a set number of messages, ask for referrals, and schedule conversations. In Systems Week, you will automate one process, document one workflow, and simplify one recurring task. Rotate through these themes. Measure your progress publicly in a small circle or in the comments of this community to create gentle social pressure. And yes, since we are sharing this journey together, if you find these conversations push you forward, consider subscribing so you never miss the next training. Stay close to a community that expects your greatness. To build a lifelong growth framework, clarify your values. Write a short creed. Mine could sound like this: I value truth over comfort, contribution over comparison, mastery over mediocrity, freedom over status, and love over fear. Then translate those values into policies you can live. If you value truth, you tell the truth even when it costs you in the moment. If you value contribution, you design your products to genuinely help, even if it means slower profits at first. If you value mastery, you allocate time to learning every day. If you value freedom, you buy fewer things and more time. If you value love, you forgive quickly and let go of resentments that sap your focus. Your values are your compass. When decisions are murky, the compass points. Expect setbacks and pre-plan your response. Resilience is not denial, it is remembrance. When a project fails, do 3 things. First, feel it fully for a day. Let the disappointment wash through. Second, write a narrative that grants you agency without blame. This happened. Here is what I missed. Here is what I learned. Here is what I will do next. Third, take one bold action within 48 hours that puts you back in motion. Call a prospect, ship a draft, make a trade within your plan. Motion cures stagnation. Keep a folder labeled Phoenix, where you document times you rose. When the next fall comes, open it and remember who you are. There is a mental model I call the ladder and the lattice. The ladder is your core competence, the one thing you are climbing. The lattice is a network of adjacent skills that support the climb. For a consultant, the ladder might be strategy, and the lattice is writing, speaking, negotiation, and analysis. For an investor, the ladder is valuation, and the lattice is accounting, psychology, and industry knowledge. Build both. Each week, climb the ladder with deep work and strengthen one strand of the lattice with deliberate practice. Over years, this creates unfair advantage. Now let us turn directly to the money engine. Use the 3 flows. Flow 1 is earned income. Increase it by improving your value and leverage. Become so useful that your time commands a premium. Then decouple income from hours by building products, licensing, or equity stakes. Flow 2 is investment income. Pay yourself first into assets that throw off cash or appreciate. Understand that volatility is the price of admission for growth. Flow 3 is business profit. If you own a business, design it to produce free cash flow and reinvest into moats that deepen your advantage. Review your flows quarterly. Ask, Where am I underleveraged? Where am I overexposed? And where can an elegant system replace drama? Let us weave in another story. This one, about a man who started with a single store of fabrics and turned it into a conglomerate by buying businesses he could improve. He looked for companies with simple products, honest managers, and room to grow, and he let them run while he provided capital and discipline. He trusted compounding more than flair. The lesson for you is to look for situations where your strengths bring order, efficiency, or sales to a currently underperforming asset. Not every opportunity requires invention. Many fortunes are built by buying something a little ugly and making it beautiful. Spend a moment on moral strength and inner integrity, because without them, wealth corrodes. Keep a sacred oath with yourself. Do not make promises lightly, but when you do, fulfill them fully. Do not lie to get ahead. The stain lingers. Do not mistreat people, because you can. The cost returns with interest. Build a reputation for fairness and firmness, and you will attract the kind of partners, employees, and investors who make wealth enjoyable rather than exhausting. It is entirely possible to become rich in money and poor in soul. Refuse that path. Choose both. Build your body's stamina too. A strong mind in a tired body is a candle in the wind. Move daily, hydrate, sleep as if your best ideas depend on it, because they do. Exercise is not vanity, it is neurochemistry. It increases brain-derived growth factors that enhance learning and mood. This physiological foundation protects your discipline and humor, both essential for leadership and sales. The most magnetic people you know have a lightness that comes from being well. Let us craft a daily practice for strategic thinking. Every afternoon, set aside time for a thinking walk. No podcasts, no calls. Walk with a small card and a pen. Pose a single question. How can I serve my customers so deeply that they become evangelists? Where are the constraints in my business? And how can I relieve them? What assumptions am I clinging to that keep me small? As your heart rate rises and your mind switches into diffuse mode, novel connections arise. Write them down. Then schedule the best idea as a micro-experiment. Strategy without experimentation is daydreaming. Experimentation without strategy is thrashing. Combine them. Design clear standards for your environment. Your desk is not a shrine to busyness, it is a cockpit. Keep it simple. Your home is not a showroom to impress strangers, it is a sanctuary to refuel your spirit. Your phone is not an all-access pass to your attention, it is a tool you command. Set your notifications to near silence. Use inbox rules. Train people that you respond within a day, not instantly. These policies are small but mighty. They guard the compound interest of focus. Speak boldly about money in your relationships. If you share life with a partner, sit down weekly to discuss numbers, dreams, fears, and plans. Make money a place of teamwork rather than tension. Share books, podcasts, and summaries. Eat dinner without screens and ask each other, what did you learn today that can help us build freedom? Cheer each other's courage. This emotional alignment is a force multiplier. Remember to celebrate, not as an excuse to stop, but as a way to reinforce identity. When you hit a target, do something kind for your future self. Buy a course, book a day of solitude to plan, or take your team for a simple afternoon of joy. Market. Your brain will associate discipline with reward and make the next push easier. I want to speak to a voice inside you that wonders if all this is reserved for others. If your past disqualifies you, it does not. Many of the icons we revere began with less than you have. A printer with little schooling, a factory worker with limited means, a woman who sold from her kitchen, an investor in a city far from the financial capitals. They started with clarity, belief, habits, and courage. They built in increments. They learned from the blows. You can too. Your job is not to be fearless. It is to act from faith bigger than your fear. Set your own rules of engagement with adversity. When you lose a client, extract 3 lessons, send 1 grateful note, and make 1 new pitch before the week ends. When a trade goes against you, follow your risk plan precisely, step away, and analyze only with a cool head. When you are insulted, breathe. Do not defend, and let your results speak. When you feel small, return to your proof box, call a friend who will not coddle you, and take a tiny action. Moment by moment, you are training your identity. Here is a visualization I love for rewiring your subconscious with power and purpose. Sit comfortably. Imagine a table. Around it sit the best versions of you at different ages. The child who was curious, the teenager who dared, the adult who survived hard days with grit. Let them look at you with love. Then imagine your future self walking in, confident, healthy, generous, prosperous. Ask that future you for one instruction. Listen, it may be as simple as drink water and make the call, or as sacred as forgive the person who wronged you and free your energy. When you finish, write one line in your journal. I honor my future self today by doing this one thing. Then do it. Take a breath and imagine yourself as someone who lives from faith, not fear. Faith here is not superstition. It is a commitment to align your actions with what you claim to value, to move even when outcomes are uncertain. When you live from faith, your eyes look up. You choose the meeting with the person who can change your trajectory over the comfortable routine. You choose to invest in your education over another empty weekend. You choose to listen deeply in a negotiation, not to win a point, but to create a deal that holds. Faith makes you magnetic. People trust those whose inner posture is steady. If these ideas resonate, and you feel your spine lengthening a little, your chest warming with possibility, subscribe so we can keep doing this work together. This channel is your lounge above the city, a place where we practice courage and craft strategy. Add your voice to a community that expects growth and celebrates integrity. Now, a word about speed. Many people ask how quickly they will see wealth. The answer is paradoxical. Move slowly on your principles and almost leisurely on your process, but move swiftly on your opportunities. Do not rush your foundation. Let it set. Build habits until they are as natural as breathing. Then, when a deal fits your criteria, when your gut and your analysis align, strike fast. Speed is a weapon when it rests on preparation. Build in public as much as you can. Share your learning journey, your experiments, your results. Teach as you learn. This attracts allies and opportunities. It also holds you accountable. When you publicly commit to a weekly newsletter, a product launch, or a portfolio update, you create positive pressure. There will be critics, but remember, you are not building for them. You are building for those you serve and for the person you are becoming. Take care of your future by designing legal and financial structures early. Separate business and personal accounts. Keep clean records. Consult professionals before you need them. Protect your downside with basic insurance. These are the unglamorous moves that prevent small problems from becoming existential threats. A single legal error can burn years of effort. A few hours of prevention can save you a fortune. Let your mind hold two truths at once. You are enough right now to begin, and you are not yet who you must be to hold the wealth you want. This tension is healthy. It invites you to act today and to keep growing tomorrow. Do not wait for permission. Wealth favors the decisive. As you move, monitor your self-talk. Replace labels with actions. Instead of saying, I am bad at numbers, say, I am learning to read financial statements each day. Instead of saying, I am not a people person, say, I am practicing one genuine conversation every afternoon. Language shapes identity, and identity shapes behavior. Your words are wands. Use them to conjure who you choose to be. Now, a few more historical beams to reinforce this house. Picture a young immigrant in a textile mill who stares at the whirring looms and vows to own a factory one day. He saves, learns, and starts a shop. It fails. He starts another. It limps, then lifts. He treats workers fairly and customers like friends. He becomes known for delivering quality at a fair price. One recession hits, then another. He breathes, cuts costs without cutting hearts, and survives to thrive. Time, not trends, is his ally. The lesson is endurance with humanity. Imagine an engineer who loves rockets not for the spectacle, but for the math, for the frontier. He risks capital and reputation, and early launches fail in flames. He says calmly that outcomes do not offend him, inputs do. He refines, learns, perseveres, and the fourth launch arcs into the sky. The underlying principle is that repeated iteration under a clear mission creates miracles. Apply it. Your fourth or seventh attempt may be the one that breaks through. Most people quit on the third. Stand beside a chef who opens a tiny restaurant on a side street. She obsesses over the sauce, the seating, the smiles. She greets regulars by name, remembers their stories, and keeps a memo of seasonal specials. She earns a line down the block. Her secret is not a hack. It is taste, care, and consistency turned into a brand. Whatever your field, make excellence your daily habit. Excellence compounds into reputation, and reputation into referrals and pricing power. Consider a quiet coder who writes a small tool to solve his own problem, shares it online, listens to users, and iterates relentlessly. He charges a fair price and treats support requests as opportunities for delight. Years later, what began as a side project supports his family and employs others. The lesson is simple. Solve real problems. Start small, ship fast, and keep listening. Wealth often grows from the soil of usefulness, watered by patience. Think of a teacher who wrote about thinking and reality, insisting that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. James Allen taught that calm, directed thought leads to a calm, directed life. When you take ownership of your inner life, you are no longer tossed by every current. You steer. Pair this with the magic of thinking big, the refusal to shrink your vision to fit your current circumstances. Aim high, not for the brag, but for the expansion it forces in your character. Aim big, then act small each day until big becomes normal. Let us circle back to you, here, now. You are building unshakable belief. How? By stacking evidence. Every day you do the hard thing you said you would do, belief tightens. Every time you keep your word, your identity thickens. Use rituals to accelerate it. Each night, list 3 times, you kept a promise to yourself today. Read it aloud. Feel pride. Wash your chest. This is righteous pride, the kind that fuels not arrogance, but stewardship. You are proving to yourself that you are trustworthy. You are killing fear through repetition and vision. How? By building ladders and rehearsals. This week, choose one fear. Design your ladder. Climb a rung daily. Visualize success nightly. Pair the exposure with rest so your nervous system recovers. After a month, choose another fear. Over a year, you will not recognize yourself. You are rewiring your subconscious with power and purpose. How? By speaking identity, writing aims, breathing, visualizing, and acting repeatedly. By aligning your inputs with your desired outputs. By curating your environment, calibrating your friends, and protecting your mornings. Do not underestimate the spiritual charge of simple, sacred consistency. You are becoming a person of decision, focus, and identity. How? By sharpening your decision protocol, running premortems, and setting triggers for action and exit. By practicing deep work daily. By saying no more often. Your no defends your yes. By choosing a handful of roles that matter to you and wearing them with pride. I am a creator, an investor, a partner, a friend. Let those roles set your calendar and your posture. You are developing personal power and resilience. How? By lifting weights, literally and metaphorically. By training your body and your mind to handle stress. By holding the line when it would be easier to drift. By telling better stories about who you are and what your setbacks mean. Not, I failed, so I am a failure, but I learned, so I am wiser. You are achieving mental discipline and self-mastery. How? By meditating on your breath, by capturing your attention when it wanders, by replacing doom scrolling with deliberate study, by making your phone boring and your workbench beautiful, by choosing boredom over distraction when necessary, so your brain relearns how to sit with itself. You are mastering strategic thinking and wealth-building skills. How? By building a learning portfolio, By reading original sources, by applying what you read in tiny experiments, by gathering data, by deciding what not to do as often as what to do, by measuring what matters and ignoring vanity metrics. You are gaining clear vision and definite purpose. How? By writing your single-sentence aim and repeating it every morning and evening. By checking each week if your calendar matches your aim. By adjusting with humility. You are adopting a wealth-oriented mindset. How? By seeing money as a tool, by paying yourself first, by investing in assets and skills, by valuing time over trinkets, by refusing to measure your life by other people's highlight reels. You are embodying moral strength and inner integrity. How? By telling the truth, by honoring agreements, by protecting the vulnerable when you can, by building a business you would be proud for your child to see, by treating competitors with respect, by choosing contribution over cynicism. You are building a lifelong growth framework. How? By rotating weekly themes, by scheduling learning, by documenting systems, by creating rituals that survive mood swings, by joining a community of peers who are as serious as you are, and you are becoming disciplined in thought, clear in vision, strong in values, bold in action, unstoppable in growth, free in mind, rich in soul, and abundant in results. This is not hyperbole. It is the compound effect of small, faithful steps taken daily under a sky of purpose. Before we part, let us set a simple 90-day immersion. Your mornings begin with breath, identity, aim, and one high-leverage action. Your days focus on the ladder and lattice, with one deep work block and one outreach block. Your evenings close with gratitude, reflection, and light planning. Each week you rotate the theme, run a review, and share one insight publicly for accountability. Each month you refine your rules, simplify your environment, and celebrate a win. At the end of 90 days, you will not only have more money, you will have more you. If this vision gives you chills, subscribe now so we can do this together, week by week, and invite someone you love to join us. Growth shared is growth amplified. As we land this plane, feel the weight of your own power. You do not need anyone's permission to begin. You already have the tools. You have breath to calm your nervous system. You have a pen to design your life. You have a voice to speak identity into being. You have a will that can decide. You have hands that can work. You have a heart that can love. Put them together, and you have a formula the elite use. Not because they were born elite, but because they trained themselves to think and act in ways that create wealth. Now, it is your turn. Stand up, roll your shoulders back. Speak this softly. I am ready. I believe. I decide. I act. I persist. I serve. I grow. I am a steward of abundance and a force for good. Let your chest swell. Picture the courier in the bank lobby, stepping into the night as the owner of his attention. Picture yourself doing the same. Write your letter tonight. Pay yourself first, in money and in dignity. Study as if your freedom depends on it, because it does. Move as if the future is watching, because it is. Share your progress in the comments and with the people you care about. Let us build a circle where courage is normal and wealth is honest. Thank you for spending this time here. If you felt your mind sharpen and your hope rise, subscribe so we can keep walking this road together, and turn on notifications if you want a gentle nudge when the next conversation is ready. Bring a friend next time. The lounge is wide, and the city outside is full of lights waiting for your name. Champions, your mind has been forged a little stronger today, but the real test isn't what you learned, it's what you do with it. Take action, dominate your day, and remember, we're not just building better thoughts, we're forging unstoppable lives. The forge doesn't stop, and neither do you. If this episode hit you where it counts, subscribe to Mental Forge Academy and join the Brotherhood of Champions who refuse to settle for ordinary. Go transform, strike while the mind is hot.